Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 38 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at the Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media / the Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you like support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com. Click shop, become a member, pick any. Avoiding cappers, get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. If nothing else, please visit the Odds Breakers, become a free picks and Telegram subscriber. We have a great show for you today. The Kentucky Derby is about here, and we have to bring back our longtime wonderful guests that specialize in the Derby, and Mr. Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com and the Bear Chris Fallica from Fox Sports. Love getting these boys together and talk horses. Now, we had a pre-show this week that went very well with the Wiz, Patrick Gates, and Sean Kanaki, and they helped me whittle it down some. I think I might need to whittle it down a little bit more if I don't feel like spending $500 to $600 on 1 2-minute race. So, want to at least get a better idea and know better people to talk to than Marco and Chris. So can't wait to talk some Derby with them and get right into it. But before the Derby begins, I want to mention to you that I actually compiled my records. College basketball, I thought I was up more than 9 units. I was 180, 61, and 3, up 9.2 units. I had a great March, so I must have been down at the end of February. I knew it was down a little, but I must have been down more than I thought because I was up about 30 to 40 units during March Madness itself. So, but happy. You can't complain when you finish positive in the black when it comes to college basketball. So was very happy about that. NFL finished up 10.6 units, 149, 124, and 2 in college football. 19.3 units, but 54.3%, 143 and 120. The thing about college football is my larger bets must have hit. My 3-star, 4-star type situations probably all went through, so that's why a 54% returned a nice 20 units. We're rolling right into Major League Baseball, and premium subscribers are getting UFC. And I like to talk about UFC Perth coming this weekend, but it's not at 1 in the morning, Pacific time, 4 in the morning Eastern time. It's kind of like, is there going to be a lot of people watching it? I'm going to try to get up early and watch most of it. I'm going to DVR some of it. I do have Paramount Plus, and I have bet some fights already. And I just talked to Gabe over at Sports Rage on some of the fights that I like as well. So month to month is where you get my UFC. And we'll start giving more articles out, especially in the bigger events as time moves on. But I'm knee-deep in prepping college football and prepping the NFL, so that doesn't stop. But right now, it's time to talk Derby with our wonderful guests. Let's bring them on, Mr. Chris Fallica and Marco D'Angelo. Want to be a professional handicapper? Check out theoddsbreakers.com, where we now have live odds and pick tracking. Click on live odds pick tracking, and you can start tracking your picks, partnering with TallySight. Once you develop records and a following, you can use that information to move to the next level, gaining all that experience in your sports betting career. Make sure you check out live odds and pick tracking at theoddsbreakers.com, partnering with TallySight. Now, I'm very excited to welcome back two of the best cappers in horse racing. You know them as Mr. Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com and Mr. Chris Fallica from Fox Sports. Please follow them on X at Marco in Vegas, at Chris Fallica. Guys, thanks for coming back on to talk about the 152nd Run for the Roses. Chris, it's springtime. How's it going out east?
It doesn't look like or feel like spring today back east. It's a kind of gray and dreary and chilly. It was nice the last couple of days, but yeah, it looks like we have a little dreary, cool first weekend of May.
Marco, what about you, my man? How is your spring going for you coming out of college basketball hot?
Yeah, it's been a really good 2026 so far, and Coming back from just a couple weeks ago, got to see one of the Kentucky Derby horses in person. I was at Keeneland for the Bluegrass Stakes, so enjoyed that, and got to see Further Ado romp a very suspect field in that race. Looked like a training mile rather than a race, but here we are, ready to do Kentucky 152, baby.
Absolutely, man. I am so stoked for this, and I actually have time to watch it this year, so I'm very happy for that. But before we get into the big race, we always have to talk some football, my friends. And Marco, every year I look back at the notes and I always beat you up on the same question: who's going to be the Steelers quarterback? But I'm gonna take it a little bit more easy on you this year. I'm just gonna ask you, who wins the AFC North?
Well, that's been a big question mark the last couple of years as well. And obviously, if you want to go with
ask you, who wins the AFC North?
The stability wise, you have to say Baltimore, but they lost their leader, having John Harbaugh, now replaced. And I'm not sure that if you made me, try to decide between, do I want to go Lamar Jackson or do I want to stick with John Harbaugh, I think I might have stuck with John Harbaugh over Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to defer to going to this is the year. They don't have any excuses. I think they got to do it or die, blow the team up. The Cincinnati Bengals have to win the AFC North this year, or it's never going to happen.
I don't disagree with you, man. I like the Bengals a little bit too. Now, I thought their draft was okay. They traded down a little bit, but it is the year for Joe Burrow to get a little redemption here. So I kind of see that coming as well. What's funny about the Steelers quarterback situation, though, it's like if I was going to pick a coach to scare Aaron Rodgers away, I would have thought it'd be Mike McCarthy, with the amount of drama that they dealt with back and forth in Green Bay. And I had to hear about it from a lot of my friend Packer fans. And now you hire McCarthy. I'm really scratching my head there. But then they draft a quarterback, so they drafted Drew Aller. And now you wonder if Howard or Aller is going to make it. And Rodgers up to his normal drama ways, my friend. So being Marco during the Kentucky Derby, we just never know what's up with the Steelers, but they always seem to get through. So I guess you can hang your hat on that. They always beat my season win total to the under, so I don't know what to do with this one. But Chris, man, the Jets. Do you still have a chance of drafting Arch Manning, Julian Sang, or Dante Moore for 2027? Did you improve your team enough to screw that up?
That's what I'm worried about. Like, for the first time in a while, what a novel idea by the Jets to take players from teams that all made the college football playoff, and like 4 of them played in the national championship game. Like, well, what a creative, novel idea to improve your team by taking good players on really good teams and programs. Like, but that does worry me a little bit, being that the Jets have that bad schedule and they play a lot of the bad teams, that they might just kind of win too many games to do that. But there is a little bit of a silver lining when you look at the draft capital that the Jets have for 2027. If they go 6-11 and they're not picking 1, 2, or 3, and say the Raiders are still bad or the Titans are still bad, they're not going to take one of those quarterbacks. So the Jets, with those first-round picks that they have and the second-round picks that they have in this year's draft, are going to be primed to move up for one of those guys. So it could be the best of both worlds, have no shot at quarterback this year with anybody that they have, but kind of building something here with the guys they took, certainly on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, if there's ever a year to root for your team to lose, it is this year. This
lose
next year's draft class.
1-16 would be great.
What a loaded draft class for next year. It's already making me look forward to that, even though we haven't even touched the football season. So absolutely, Jets are possibly on the way to improvement. I don't think your coach is going to last, but we'll see what they decide to do with that. But here we are, college football coming up too, Chris. And both you and we didn't see Duke winning the ACC. I'm pretty sure on this show I talked Georgia Tech. I thought they had a great shot, and here's Duke here. Is Duke winning the ACC this year, or what's going on?
Stop it. No, I've already made my bet on Miami minus 130 to win the ACC. Like Miami's loaded, and they screwed up. They were missing like 9 starters in that game at SMU and lost out on a convoluted tiebreak. But Miami's going to win the ACC. The only game Miami has a chance to lose is the game in South Bend, and the winner of that game is going to finish the regular season undefeated and be number 1 going into the college football playoff. So Miami's going to win the ACC, and you in a FanDuel state, and I think Marco in a FanDuel state as well. You might be able to do it. The other day when I was up in Massachusetts making my draft bets, you can play a little 3-legged parlay: Notre Dame to make the college football playoff, Miami to make the college football playoff, Oregon to make the college football playoff. That was plus 117. Now, I don't know if that's changed because I can't look in the state of Connecticut because they don't offer that in Connecticut where I am, but it seemed like a pretty good investment. I know you got to tie up money. You got to wait for 6 months to get your money, but I don't know, plus 117 on something that feels very, very highly likely is worth it to me.
That's the 3 I would pick. Plus 117. I don't even have to plug FanDuel now. Thank you for that. Our friends over there very much appreciate that. Yeah, no, Oregon. I'm kind of drooling over Oregon a little bit this year. I'm like, I'm really liking what they have. I don't see anybody beating Miami. Bad luck for Texas Tech. And I guess bad luck for what they had going because, man, that quarterback there, holy cow.
That'll be interesting, Marco, because, Will Hammond was thought to be the guy, but he's hurt. Is he going to come back? And I don't know Marco's opinion on it, but is this an opportunity to maybe find someone in the Big 12 in case Brendan Swearsby does not play college football again? Do you take a chance with a BYU or a Utah or a Kansas State or someone like that?
Orange policy because they got all the other pieces in place. You don't want to waste a season like they were loaded, and they did it right last year. A lot of people thought they had a chance to go to the championship game and just ran in to the buzzsaw to knock them out. But I like this time of the year. I'm so focused on other stuff. But now with all the portal stuff, it makes it just even crazier to try to – I don't know how you do it, Chris. Get all these teams in place. I have to see them, and then I react to what I see once the finished product's there. Because not only you see the raw talent, but sometimes when you get too many superstars on a team, it takes a couple games. We see that in basketball all the time. Everybody's got to understand their role. Football's definitely a different sport, but in basketball, it's mind-boggling what you see a team looks like in late November and early December to what we see the finished product when we're at the end of February heading into March. Night and day difference.
Yeah, return in production certainly does not mean what it did, and the recruiting took a hit. If your team recruits great but loses guys to the transfer portal, it's massive, And On3 does a pretty decent job at the net ratings, so I look at that a little bit more than I used to at 24/7. But you're right, Marco. With the changes, it's hard to see what you're going to get. But I do love what you said about kind of just wait it out on some of these teams. Maybe people would think to fade them after they start out a little rough, but then they get their swag and start playing very well. There's a couple college basketball teams that happened to as well. So, that's something to definitely look at. But we're here to talk some Derby, man. And the big race is upon us here. The handle is always large, Marco. What do you think this year? Do you think we get a big handle like we always do?
Yeah, I think the Derby is actually on the rise. We've seen it in the last few years. It's because, and again, it's great for the sport. Some people don't like it, the traditionalists, old school guys, but you've got a lot of social media people, influencers that are, dipping their toe in the water. Now they're getting small pieces of horses, but that's all. It accomplishes the same thing because it doesn't matter if they got a big piece or a small piece of a horse. Just the fact that they're involved in a horse creates, excitement around it. We saw it with Griffin Johnson last year, with Sandman and all of the hype that came with that. And that anything that brings eyeballs is a good thing. And I'm sure, and I won't bring it up because we're going to talk about it later. There was another little social media buzz yesterday floating around that created some havoc. But Churchill Downs is expecting over a $300 million handle on Kentucky Derby Day. That's what they're projecting. So I'm all for it. I know that when I was opening weekend at Keeneland, they were putting up big numbers down there, and I think it's going to carry over to the Derby.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a swift response to the money coming in on the Derby. What are you guys talking about? Chris, weather-wise, my man, what do you think? Is it going to be a beautiful day at the Kentucky Derby?
Looks cool and clear, fast and firm. No excuses for anybody from a weather standpoint, and it's probably going to guarantee being nice because I'm not going this year. It seems like the last few times I've gone, it's been cool and rainy and dreary. I remember myself and Herb Street and our buddies picking up tickets off the ground that he threw on the ground after Country House and got put up. He thought he lost, and then we won. He were on our knees going through mud and water and steps in our
if I video that,
find all the tickets. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be beautiful. And as a handicapper and a bettor, I like that. Anytime you can eliminate a lot of the question about potentially an off track or having to handicap, is the track going to dry out by the time of the Derby? Is it going to be sloppy? Eliminating a question is always a good thing for handicapping a lot of these races. And I love turf racing. So the fact that we know we're going to get a good turf course is key for me.
You know, it's funny. I normally agree with that, but I almost wish it was raining because I have got like 7 horses here that I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going to happen, man. I'm like, I feel like the up top, it's just so tough. And maybe if it was raining, I could look for some mutters this year or something. But the Chris Fallica curse comes in. He's not coming, so it's going to be beautiful and perfect suit weather for getting out there. So I'm going to be all dressed up fun and nice. And, here we are. But, I mean, to be honest with you, a couple horses were scratched, and I think a couple came in. What's his name? Rich Strike? Is that not Rich Strike?
Don't remind me of that.
I had to. Dude, I had to.
Or me.
Or me.
I almost swore betting the sport and the Derby off for the rest of my life after that result.
I had to bring that up early.
I had Epicenter at 33-1 future bet. Yeah. Top of the stretch, I was counting my money.
Well, what's funny is I see 4 really big favorites, but they're like, there's a bunch that I can see happening to this race. Marco, what do you think of the 4? At least the 4 big favorites. If you want to throw in, Chief Wallaby, you can too. But are they deserving favorites?
Well, let's just continue on piggyback at Chris saying about eliminating question marks. Okay, the 4 contenders, by the morning line odds are Renegade, Commandment, Further Ado, and Chief Wallaby. Okay, you want to throw questions out there? All right, we got Renegade in the rail. We got Renegade in rumors he's having foot problems, quarter cracks. Then we got Commandment. I call Commandment the Rodney Dangerfield of this field. He's won 4 in a row and can't keep a jockey. What's up with that? Further Ado, he's the horse that's got the best buyer speed figure of the bunch, and he didn't beat anybody in the bluegrass. And then we got Chief Wallaby. They're putting blinkers on him. And if I hear one more person tell me about a horse has not won the Kentucky Derby that made an equipment change with blinkers, I might just punch them right in the eye. Okay,
Chris, you can scratch that line out in your notes
because when we break this down, I'm going to talk about that in detail. So the 4 legitimate horses all have question marks to them, yet all 4 of them have a legitimate shot of winning this race. And then I didn't even mention the 5th horse, who's the Puma, who's got a legitimate shot as well. I don't know how Chris feels, but I think this is the most wide open Kentucky Derby that we've had maybe in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I do think it's wide open. I think there are a lot of throwouts, But I think if you take the horses that you mentioned and maybe throw in someone like Emerging Market as well, maybe someone like Incredible, there are like 7 horses that can probably 6 or 7 that can win, and they all kind of have like an equal type chance. But I am with you and the fact that Renegade is the favorite and has the foot problems, didn't come out of the Arkansas Derby great, and drew the rail. That makes it more wide open than it's been because you've got a favorite that's probably a throwout. I mean, if you look at Pletcher since he won the Derby with Always Dreaming, only one of his 38 runners is finished in the money. Arad Ortiz is someone that hasn't, while he's a great rider, he has not had a ton of success in the Derby. You'll look at the rail and how it's been terrible for a lot of these horses. Only one horse in the last 37 years has hit the board from the rail. So it's just
that was my best Derby. That was my best Derby score. I was all over looking at Lee.
But that's the type of, it needs to be like a long shot like that that's going to club. Like I had looking at Lucky, who I love that year, and he drew the rail, and he wound up winning the Preakness at a nice price because he didn't run so great in the Derby. I have a future ticket on Renegade at 15-1 prior to the Arkansas Derby because I figure, okay, he wins. It's Pletcher, it's Rapoli, it's Arad. They're going to be the favorite. They're going to be 4-1. Let me get 15-1 in pocket. And now I don't want to have another dollar on the horse to win just because of the combination of the rail, the feed, everything. There's a whole lot of ifs involved with Renegade. And I would be shocked if he wound up winning the race on Saturday.
As Marco was telling me, poor Erad had the choice of 3 horses. Obviously Renegade he landed on, but Further Ado and Commandment, right, Marco? I mean, what happened there?
Chris, let me ask you, throw the post position out, okay? Because obviously he doesn't know the post position when he's making the choice. Do you think Irad made this choice based solely on he thought Renegade was the best horse, or how much of it do you think was loyalty to Pletcher and Rapoli? Because it's a great handicapping angle that people use, which choice a jockey makes. But I can tell you from being a horse owner, that's not always the decision. Sometimes it's not them taking the best horse. They're taking the best business decision because they ride more for a certain barn.
I think it's 100% the latter. For Rapoli and Pletcher you're riding. Now, if it was Chad Brown as opposed to Brad Cox, then maybe that's a different story, and there's another dimension there because he does get a lot of first calls for Chad along with Flavien Prat. But I think it was absolutely I want to wear the Rapoli silks and ride for Pletcher in the Derby.
There's a stat on Erad Ortiz, Chris, that might make a little difference in this Derby.
Oh, well, I mean, you look at him historically. What is it now? Never hit the board from his 9 Derby mounts. He had the favorite Improbable, Bob Baffert in 2019. That was his best finish. He finished 4th. A lot of those horses were long shots in the race. He hasn't had a ton of super live mounts. But again, it's just a really hard situation to see this horse working out. I know since 2020 when they have that 20-horse field, the continual gate, it's been a little bit better, but you still haven't had any of the horses finish better than 5th. And you had Mo Donegal, who was highly thought of, wound up winning the Belmont. Max Player, Noted Agenda, horses that were Dornock, who got slammed into the rail, then wound up winning the Belmont. Like, you've had horses that were highly thought of there that haven't been able to work out a trip. And if you do it, great, by all means. I'll be happy to 15-1 future, but I am not expecting much out of Renegade on Saturday.
All right, and that's tough. And from the sharper community, the shows I listen to and try to, I feel like a lot of people are down on Renegade because of it and because of the record. I mean, what number do you need, Chris, for Renegade? Because it's kind of like it's just like a Japanese horse winning. It's going to happen someday. It's going to happen someday. I mean, the one post was moved out. I mean, At what number makes sense? You know, I'm trying to figure out, because I almost want to be the contrarian one now and bet him.
Right.
You know,
right? And that's the thing. I don't know about you, Marco. I would say, I mean, if he's 9-2 right now, or 5-1 for whatever, it's going to fluctuate. Obviously, I would probably need a scratch of a contender in the race, along with one of those terrible also eligibles drawing in to water down the field, and maybe like 8-1. Would he be playable then?
Here, if it wasn't for the stuff with the foot, okay, that the foot concerns me even more than the rail, because I will say two things, and Chris, see if you agree. A horse that's going to end up winning from the rail is not going to be a speed horse, because we know coming out of the gate, that wall comes down on you. You're not going to do it. A horse that's going to end up doing it from the rail is going to be a horse that is either one of those mid-flight horses or a closer into a race that just absolutely falls apart. But you still are subject to traffic, okay? And what you need with a horse like that, now this horse is pretty handy. We saw how he really navigated the turn in the Arkansas Derby. You need to be picking up horses in the final turn to have yourself in position when you hit the top of that long straightaway at Churchill. You also need, if you're going to bob and weave through horses, you need an aggressive jockey. That is Ortiz. I read Ortiz is one of the most aggressive jockeys, and somebody that will make a hole or not afraid to go through a tight hole. That's what you need. And he does check all of those boxes. And I was going to kind of overlook it and still put him on my tickets. But when the news started surfacing about the quarter cracks, that's a big thing. And if you're not familiar with them, when you have foot problems, the problem with that is the further you go in the race, the more it becomes a problem, because it's stinging their feet. And what's everybody doing on Saturday? Every one of these horses are going a distance they've never gone this far before. And that's what gives me even more pause on the quarter crack, because there are ways to help a horse, but he's still going to favor. They can do things with shoeing. They can do things. I've done it to horses where they can put a patch on the outside of the hoof. Farrier actually puts like a mesh patch and builds the hoof wall to try to help it. But they're going a distance they've never gone before, and that's a concern.
Yeah, and I thought he had the 3/4 shoe in the Arkansas Derby. So did it get worse from there? Do we know that?
I think it did.
Okay.
And when it's a quarter crack, what people don't understand is the quarter crack starts before you see it. Okay, it has to grow out into the hoof, and then there's a point where it cracks the inner wall and it comes out, and literally the horse will bleed. I mean, it can gush, but that relieves the pressure. Okay, and immediately the horse will feel a little bit sounder, but you lost the stability of the wall because there's the crack there, and that's why they put the bar shoes on, to try to take the pressure off that one side of the hoof where the crack came out of.
Well, I hate to bet on anyone's demise, but I mean, I wonder what the number is for the favorite to finish last. Maybe the jockey notices something and pulls them off.
No, we're not rooting for anybody's demise.
Right.
I'll be curious to see. I have not seen any head-to-heads up yet for matchups, but you could probably do a lot worse. You would expect if Renegade is one of the favorites, he probably will be matched up with Further Ado, Commandment, the Puma, Chief Wallaby, these other legitimate contenders, and you could probably just bet against the Renegade and Renegade in a lot of these head-to-heads, and you're probably going to be pretty close to even money in a lot of them.
Very true, very true, and obviously the prop for last is always a big one if you can get that. And
I did make the bet on that already. I did see that up.
We'll get to that. That's awesome. And I'm curious. I'm curious what the number would be on Renegade if books even put him out. They might even try to be sneaky and not.
Let's see what I can find for you. Keep talking.
I'll keep talking. But we got to get into the Puma now and figure out what's going on with this horse, because the odds dropped all the way to 6-1, 5-1. back to 8-1. But Marco, a lot of movement on this horse.
Yeah, there was I think it was a $10,000 bet come in quickly yesterday, or as you would like to say, a swift bet came in on it. And again, this is the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce rumor that they bought a piece of the horse. That circulated around. I couldn't confirm or deny anything on it. It sounds like, and this is the problem with social media anymore. You can put anything up anymore because all people are trying to do is get clickbait. Sure. And people are falling for the stuff, and you saw the money go there. And if people read that, see that, and don't know if it's true or not, just think, if I read it and it's on the internet, it's got to be true. You're going to get people that are going to want to bet that horse. Does this horse have a chance? Hell yes. He's live in this race. There's no question about it. When we break it down a little further, in my opinion, and I don't know how Chris looked at all of the prep races, in my opinion, the Florida circuit was the toughest circuit, and we've seen history-wise, that's the best path to the Kentucky Derby winner circle is going through Florida.
To answer the previous question and get back to Renegade to finish last, I see 50-1 at the one site that I have access to some faraway places. 50-1 on Renegade to finish last.
All right.
To get back to the Puma, though, yes, I agree that the Florida preps were absolutely far and away the deepest prep. You look at the Puma, you look at Commandment, you look at Chief Wallaby. Those three going head to head were definitely the deepest, best, most talented preps. Here's the trouble I have with the Puma, and Marco, I know you kind of went there a little bit. It's the battle between handicapping the race and betting the race. You handicap the race, and you see the Puma's running style. You see that he won at Tampa. You saw that he just missed in a blanket finish in the Florida Derby. You look at it and you're like, he absolutely fits the races. He's running the best prep races. He's got a great post. However, you see the price, and instead of 10-1 or 12-1, you're getting 7-1 or 6-1 or 8-1, and he's an underlay, and you're not really getting the true odds. Like, does the fact that you're not getting something close to the morning line, or the fact that the horse is an underlay as opposed to an overlay, does that take you off the horse? Or do you just say, nope, I'm handicapping the race, and if I'm right about the way I'm handicapping the race and he does figure and he does win, I'm going to get paid anyway?
Yeah. I'll answer that question, Chris, with the same way I answer people in sports betting. And, and I know long-term, this is the right answer. You want to beat the closing number. Okay. That's everybody's goal. But it drives me crazy when I see everybody on Twitter, closing line value. I got my CLV trophy, but I lost the bet. You know what? You don't have to call me sharp. I would rather have a winning ticket at a bad number than a losing ticket at a good number. I'm sorry. Call me crazy. Okay. And if my handicap says the horse is going to win the race, I am not going to leave him off my ticket. Or not bet him because I'm only going to get 5-1 when I thought I should have got 8-1 or 10-1 because I'm still going to make money. And especially if we're betting exotics. Yep. And it, Chris, the Kentucky Derby, for guys like you and me, this is our Christmas, okay? Because there's so much dead money in the pool that inflates all of those other, betting pools, the exactas, the trifectas, even place and show gets inflated because there's so much money, people just throwing down tickets on, I like that color, or that's my birthday, or I like the name, and it gets you a better price. So I'm not going to let that deter me. The only thing that concerns me on the Puma is he's doesn't like to be in traffic. You've heard numerous people with the connections of the horse is he likes to be on the outside of horses. He doesn't like to be in traffic. And when he cleared in the Florida Derby, he came on the outside, if you remember, And the minute he cleared, he ended up down on the inside. He moved down there, and he was comfortable there, but there was nobody else there until they had the blanket finish. So if he gets caught in a little bit of traffic and gets hung up a little bit there, that's my only concern with him. But he's definitely a horse that I thought maybe just made his move in the Florida Derby a second too soon. We're talking inches. He lost in a blanket finish, but we know with these young horses that sometimes when they clear like that and they moved him to the rail, he might have thought the race was over.
And a lot of, if you're looking at the Puma, I think if you want to take the flip and the contrarian viewpoint on him and how he's run and looked in the prep so far, you could potentially say, hey, the win over Further Ado at Tampa came when Further Ado was making his first start off of a 3-month layoff, and he needed the race. He was favored over Chief Wallaby in a maiden race, and we all know Belmont does not have his first-timers fully cranked to win. And Chief Wallaby won that race. Renegade, he beat him handily in the Sam Davis. So there have been examples where you can make excuses or rationale or reasoning for these other horses that maybe weren't primed and ready to go in a couple of other their head-to-heads. But I'm with you. I'm going to defensively use him certainly underneath. And yes, Marco and I are in full agreement here. I got a nice Wembanyama 75-1 MVP ticket. I'm going to put that in my CLV pile. Miami 150-1. I'm going to win the national championship in college football. I'm going to put that in my CLV pile. The people, you're right. The people out there would rather get good CLV and lose a bet than actually win a bet.
So they can. Well, you can't complain about it unless you do that.
Like that. All Kiev cares about is the CLV.
Yeah. No. I'm not a CLV champion. If you look, at least I'm usually positive CLV when you look at my records. But I'm not going to sit there and complain about it, because if I'm wrong on just like Marco said, if you're wrong on something, you're freaking wrong on something. It's about CLV doesn't pay you nothing, so forget about that. Who do you think made that bet, Swift or Kelsey?
Well, I think we know which one has more money.
You're right. It just to show you the time of the year and the sport. A friend of mine in the industry, in the media industry, sent me a text this morning and say, "Hey, I saw your Bear Bets, your clip about the Puma, and I asked Restrepo about it, and he said there's no truth to it. So who knows? Again, like Marco said, social media has a way of getting things and catching fire and spreading. So supposedly there's no truth to the rumor that they have bought into the Puma. Now, have they made a wager on the horse? I think the only thing I do know is that Ivoroni bought into the Puma. Michael Ivoroni, who of course had Big Brown on the Triple Crown Trail back in 2008. That was.
Oh, I think Swift made the bet personally. I think she's more the sire in that relationship anyway. Next, I want to shout out to 1,188 people watching this video and the people that chimed in here, Oven Fresh and Krager. Thanks for chiming into this show. And now to talk a little bit about some of the horses.
What are they saying? They got questions for us?
Oh no! Just great point when you guys talked about the fact that just because there's a bet on Puma, that's what Krager said. Great point in this race. It doesn't matter if you're using exotics. Your which are trifectas and exactas, superfectas. If people need to know what that means. So it's a great point. Yeah, just because somebody bets it doesn't mean it's wrong or right. It just depends on your handicap. So that's a great point. And Oven Fresh thinks that you guys look alike. I think it's the glasses, and I actually have glasses too that look almost just like you guys as well. So I was like, should I wear
a couple of bald Italians with glasses, a little underneath there? I mean, we got to profile the racing fan. That's for sure.
The problem is
I blame it on reading all those racing forms. Back in the day, Chris, we weren't able to put it on our computer screen and blow it up like we can now. We had to read that fine print.
And I still love printing it out. I still have to print it out.
Yeah. No, but if I didn't have context in these beyond, and then that would look really, really interesting. But here we are. We got obviously lots to discuss. And And to be honest with you, I listen to you guys' shows, and actually Marco was on a show about a month ago or so. I think it was during March Madness, talking about Chief Wallaby, and he was at 12-1, and I missed the number, and then I saw Chief Wallaby lose in the Florida Derby just by that photo finish, right? And then he goes back up to 12-1, and I'm like, okay, well, I can get Marco's odds. So I put a bet on Chief Wallaby at that number, and I kind of like him this race. They're obviously adding blinkers, and I think some people know that, but that's one I'm falling on. And I saw a tweet from Chris, and I saw Chris's tweet after I fell on, because I like Flavian Pratt too, Chris, and I think Flavian Pratt does a great job in this race. And I look at Emerging Market and kind of how his trip was starting from the outside post in his last race, and the Louisiana Derby, and I thought he did just a great job to beat Pavlovian and finish. So, 12 and 15, Chris, I kind of fell on. What were your thoughts on those two horses?
Well, I think Chief Wallaby is the best horse in the race. And I do a numbers game with Gil Alexander. I did it today with Peter Fornatal from In the Money. And Gil always likes to ask, if I come to you from the future and a horse won the Triple Crown, who would it be? And my answer was Chief Wallaby. I think if you look at a horse that won it first asking for Bill Mott, beat the Puma in that race, just missing the Fountain of Youth, lost to a neck by commandment, ran a nearly identical race. And Marco touched on the blinkers early. I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say confusion, but I think there's something really curiosity. Like, I was a little spooked about, like, why is he putting blinkers on the horse? And then you go back and you watch some of those races, and maybe he's a little shy. He's a little hesitant about when he's in tight, and the fact that the blinkers are going to kind of block his view, and you're going to allow Junior Alvarado to kind of control the horse and get him in a position, even if it is a little tight, to win. I think that helps. I think he has a great running style, a great profile for this race. If Bill Mott thinks the horse needs blinkers and he's going to improve with blinkers, who am I to question that? And certainly he is one of the ones that you're going to want on your ticket. And Emerging Market, I think, is another horse that you want on your ticket. I know he's only started twice, but I think if you look at, like, trying to project a pattern, trying to project either a progression or a regression, which is something as a horse player that I like to do, I think Emerging Market is sitting on a massive buyer in this race. Fired first time out for Chad Brown, put up a 97 buyer speed figure in his debut, which is really, really good for a first timer. Regressed at the Fairgrounds in the Louisiana Derby down to a 90 buyer speed figure, and you're going to regress. Normally you regress and don't win. He regressed and won a graded stakes race for a Kentucky Derby prep. He's been off for about 6 weeks now. I would expect him to come out of this race with the speed figure that's going to be right around 100, 101 potentially, and that puts him right in the thick of things. Does that mean he's going to win? Does he mean he's going to run a big race? No. But the note that you mentioned about Flavian Pratt, which I put out there, was it's really amazing. If you look at the 16 mounts he's had in Triple Crown races, only once he's finished worse than fourth. Now, he hasn't necessarily won all of them. There are a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds, a lot of fourths, and maybe some of the horses maybe could have won or should have won. But it always tells me that even in these big fields, he's finding a good path, a good trip, and he's giving his horses chances to win. Like, you could probably do a lot worse than maybe just saying, hey, and I know the Superfecta is $1 bet, but if you're stuck on another horse that you really like, say you really like Chief Wallaby, keep Chief Wallaby in one of those 4 Superfecta spots, key Emerging Market in one of those 4 other Superfecta spots, and play around with other horses and maybe look for another horse, because I do think both of those horses, you're not always going to want a dead closer in this race just because of the traffic. I think both of those horses project to kind of be in that first flight mid-pack, and they're not going to have as much work to do in the stretch to pass horses. So I think those two are very, very, very logical winners.
Marco.
Kiev, just to touch on Chief Wallaby with the blinkers, and this is the thing. The stat is out there. There's been 11 straight horses that have made a change going into the Derby, and they're 0 for 11. I want to point out that usually when you're making a change like that, it's because a horse wasn't racing good and you're trying to get him to race better. Okay. Right. And you've had several starts and you're trying something. Horses can't tell you what they like. This horse only has 3 starts. Okay. Bill Mott, as good as he is, doesn't have the horse totally hung up yet. Okay. And to go back to the Florida Derby, and it's the reason why I felt even better about Chief Wallaby than I did prior, because I got on him before the Fountain of Youth. Okay. I liked him going into the Fountain of Youth. I bet him in that race. He should have won that race. He got out-tripped, in my opinion. Commandment went inside. He went outside the whole trip, and that was the difference in the photo. In the Florida Derby, he got caught at the rail for most of the race. Young horse, only his 3rd career start, was down inside horses, something that most horses aren't, totally comfortable with. But if you go back and watch the replay, he had to slide the horse basically sideways to get out. And the horse had his head cocked to the outside, naturally, because you're pulling him to the outside. But he really had his head cocked, and he wasn't able to give him his head to go forward right away. And Commandment got the jump on him to his outside. And as I said, Puma crossed over. That left him having to split the Puma and Commandment to try to go through. And he showed hesitation when they tried to put him through that hole. That's what young horses do. They don't like to go through a tight hole like that. The blinkers are going to give him more confidence to do that. And he gained the experience from that race of encountering 2 different things. This horse only has 3 starts, but he's encountered all kinds of trips, wide trips, down at the rail, try to split horses. I think he's sitting on a big race.
All right. Well, there you go. Chief Wallaby with the blinkers coming in, and ready to explode. And like I mentioned before, I like his breeding as well. I think he can get the distance, and I would have thought that maybe in the Florida Derby, if it was another 16th of a mile, another furlong, he would have gotten it himself. So I kind of agree with that. Dirty Reg 22, nice name. By the way, top 3 finishers, single digit odds. I don't know about that. I don't think you're going to get any 15 or 20 to 1, but that makes sense, right, Marco?
Right.
Emerging market will be double digits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again,
I am shocked. Chief Wallaby right now is right around double digits as well. I thought he would have been taking money in the early put. There isn't a ton of money in there right now. Tomorrow is when you start getting more serious money in the pool. But I kind of had him pegged for the wise guy kind of horse, and right now it appears like the Puma is taking all that money, and obviously the great human interest story with So Happy has taken a ton of money as well. So that makes me feel really good as a handicapper and a bettor that the horse that I really like is going to be pretty close to the morning line and maybe even a little bit of an overlay.
Well, there you go.
The So Happy horse, obviously, as you said, that's the feel-good story. And
Mike Smith's a great jockey too, though, Marco. That was the other one I was going to ask you about, is that great jockey on there.
Yeah, but here's the thing with me, and I would love to see Mark Link get that. If I get beat by that horse, I'll be disappointed for about 30 seconds, and then kudos to him. But if you go back and watch the Santa Anita Derby, okay, So Happy beat Potente, okay, but I like Potente better, and here's why. If you watch that race, Potente did all the heavy lifting in that race. He cut the race, cut the fractions, was run at the entire race, had a horse at his throat, and they went honest fractions. They went, I think it was 23 and change, 40, 46 and something, to the half. It wasn't like they were crawling to the half. And he put that other horse that was at his throat the whole race away at the top of the stretch. And so often you see it. You put that first horse away, who gets you? It's the horse coming off your back. And that's what So Happy did, which was a complete reversal from when those two met the race before. So Happy did the heavy lifting. I think Potente is going to leave, has the outside post to him, And I think he's going to drop over and be sitting in that third, fourth, or fifth spot just off the front pace. And I think if they go honest fractions, not suicide fractions, I think he could hang around to be on the ticket at a price potente.
Yeah, and the other thing with So Happy too, and a lot of times you'll have horses outrun their bloodlines. Do we really think some progeny out of Run Happy is going to get a mile and a quarter? Like, unbelievable sprinter, unbelievable miler, but it seems like a little bit of a bridge too far for me.
Oh, good. Now I can
agree.
And I was looking at that, and I was going to ask you about Baffert horses. How come Baffert horses aren't favored anymore, Marco? What's going on there?
California horses stunk this year.
No.
Let's say that I'll be nice, so nobody gives me.
You're gonna be nice on this show.
He's better on his home track. Okay. I think there's just a lot more scrutiny on the road, and you got to dot all your I's and cross your T's when you're on the road. But I do think that this horse is improving. If you look at the buyer speed figures on him, if you're a buyer's guy, this horse is going right in the right direction, leading into this particular race. So that's something to watch with him. He could take a step forward in this race.
Well, looking at the numbers,
I bet on a Baffert horse, Kiev.
Which one?
I bet on Litmus Test to finish last.
To finish last, okay. I figured that was coming. There you go.
I do not think this $875,000 purchase will pass the Litmus Test. That's full of funnies today.
That's a massive. He's 34-1 to win, and Martin Garcia. Yeah, I mean, why not? If you're getting a good number on
10-1 to finish last.
10-1, okay. And he's one of the the thing is that you got new fresh horses coming in that weren't going to necessarily make it. Obviously because of the scratches. So I don't even know if they're mentionable really, Chris, but we can talk. I mean, they're not, but you're competing with them for last place here, which is important. But the point on Potenti, right now I'm looking at the Kentucky Derby live odds, 24-1 compared to So Happy at 6-1. I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. If I got to pick one of those, I'm definitely going with 24-1. So at least to hit the ticket, hit the board. So I totally see that. What we haven't talked about is the fractions in this race. I mean, you got a couple, obviously sprinters here. Marco, who's setting the pace?
Yeah, well, the 17 horses going out of there. There's no question about it. That's going to be the speed litmus test. Only has one option. He's got post 4. He's got to bust out of there like gangbusters and try to go as far as he can go. And I agree with Chris. It's going to be he'll be looking like a Olympic swimmer doing the backstroke in the stretch whenever he spits the bit. And then with the scratch, the first scratch that we had that moved Great White into the race, I think that helped set the speed up to help the closers. When people talk about, the scratches and how it affects, the races, if you're putting in a plotter that's, a stone cold closer or a horse that is, at least a deep closer, it doesn't affect the race at all because he's going to the back of the pack. But if it's a horse that has gate speed and inherits that 20 post position, and now he moved into the 19 post position, it's a situation that it's going to help the fractions. And I think we're going to see a pretty lively pace in this particular race because you also are going to have Further Ado is going to leave the gate. He's not going to necessarily go to the front. He's going to be in that, I think just off the pace second flight. But what happens is because you don't want to be caught 6 or 7 wide when you hit the first turn, you got to go that first part of the race pretty quickly to grab your position on the racetrack. And, wanted to ask you, Chris, we talked about all the holes in the favorites. Further Ado, we didn't mention, because of the scratch, he inherits gate number 17. He's still going to have the same saddle pad, but now he's in gate 17 that's never won the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another question.
Yeah, I don't know how big of a deal that is now, because a lot of times that had to do with the awkward angle of that auxiliary gate that was on the outside and the spacing between 15 and 16. So I think that's more of a kind of I don't want to say fluke, just an anomaly than anything else. I think further ado factors in big time here. I like him the most out of all the Brad Cox horses. Now there are only two because of the scratch for full effort. I think he is, again, a horse that is going to be in that first flight. I think he's kind of athletic and versatile. I think this is what makes handicapping and seeing the board, and you get the odds that you want or whatever, the price on a horse. If you have a different viewpoint, I think there is a viewpoint out there that Further Ado is a Keeneland freak, a Keeneland specialist, because his two best figures have come at Keeneland. He also won the Jockey Club as 2-year-old at Churchill Downs. So, like, he's beaten by the Puma at Tampa, like I said, but odds are he probably needed that race. I think you can say, okay, is he a bounce candidate off of that race at Keeneland? Maybe, but I think the month off, I think this horse figures. Like if I'm looking at other than the two horses I already gave you with Chief Wallaby and Emerging Market, I think Further Ado fits very logically here, and I like him more than I do Commandment.
I will say this about the course, horses for courses. People just like to hear themselves talk sometimes, because did you look at what those two races were? You beat a maiden field, okay, in your first race at Keeneland. All right, so I don't even count that. And of all of the prep races that we had, those final 2 Saturdays, the big prep races, that was by far the weakest field that any horse faced, in my opinion, that day. There was nobody in that race. There was only one horse entered in that race, and he scratched the day before. So there was no opposition in that race. He was supposed to win by a country mile.
It is interesting, Marco, because you look at the Wood Memorial was garbage. I don't think either of the horses coming out of that race have any chance. That's a race that's near and dear to my heart, being in New York. I always paid attention to that Wood Memorial and that Saturday at Aqueduct, and the Bluegrass was terrible. Was there really anything behind Renegade in Arkansas as well? Like it's a really weird year where it just seems like the horses that are the logical horses just really, really stand out.
Yeah.
Go back to the Florida Derby.
That's it's like every good horse was in the Florida Preps.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, it is, horses for courses sometimes. And I wrote down by Further Ado, he had no competition. It was just an easy trip, and it made it. And weren't you at that one, Marco? That was the one you're at? And
no, I was at Keeneland.
Oh,
I was at the Bluegrass.
You're at the Bluegrass. Okay.
And if you've never been to Keeneland, you got to put that on your bucket list. I still got Saratoga to cross off my bucket list. I got to get up to Saratoga. But, Keeneland's most gorgeous track.
Yes, that's what I've always heard, and I probably need to get down there one of these days too. Well, I mean, we talked about a lot of these, horses, and I'm still, with the same problem. I got a ton of horses I like. So let's figure out who are. Let's do this. Who are we tossing off our ticket completely, Chris? And you might have a big list of that. And I mean, who are we tossing off for like first place, and maybe even the show? I mean, that might help me out a little.
All right, I'll just go run down. I don't think Renegade can win. Maybe he can clunk up for a piece if he's okay. Albus has got no shot. Libus Test got no shot. Right to Party, I heard, has looked terrible on the track. He's out. I am not a fan of Denon Bourbon. There are people who are, but I do not think he can win. I do not think So Happy can hit the board. Wonder Dean, I do not think can win. If some people like him as well, but I will not be using. Incredible, I think, can hit the board. Chief Wallaby, I think, can win. Potente could potentially hit the board. I don't think he can win. Emerging Market, I think, can win. Pavlovian, I think, is a complete toss. 6 Speed, I think, is a complete toss. Further Ado, obviously, can win. Golden Tempo, I think, can hit the board. Great White is a complete toss, and Ocelli is a complete toss. That's my unabridged version there of a contender, non-contender.
Okay, that's a lot. Marco, anything that do you agree with some of that, or what do you think?
My numbers, I'll just run the numbers: 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 16, 17, 21, and 22. Bye-bye.
Well,
they're all gone.
and if anyone needs to rewind this, you can obviously listen to that. So there you go. That's a lot. But Marco does have some big tickets, so especially when it comes to the Derby, so he's going to have a lot of fun combinations. Yeah. Coming through as well. Well, okay. We talked a lot about, what we're throwing off. We got in deep to some of these horses. What do you think, how you're going to construct your ticket, Chris? Is this a big investment for you? Is this going to be kind of a medium compared to other derbies? I know you kind of sometimes get invested during the race or right before the race as well.
Yeah, I'll probably get a little bit more. A lot of pick fours, a lot of pick fives. Things like that. But in the column that I just put out and the shows I did this morning, kind of like the two main bets I have, I got a four horse exacta box, 11, 12, 15, 18.
Okay.
That for $4 exacta box, it's $48. So that's something that I feel pretty good of any of those two. Incredible, Chief Wallaby, Emerging Market, Further Ado, any two of those four finish first and second. We win, and then I have a dollar try, 12-18, meaning either Chief Wallaby or Further Ado win, with 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 in second. Any of those five horses run second, and then 1, 6, 9, 11, 12, 15, 18, 19 for third for a dollar try. That's a $48 investment. So that's how, if you want to spend $100 on the race or $50 on the race, choose one of those two wagers and have at it.
All right. Well, there you go. And Marco, without further ado, what is your way of investing in this wonderful race?
Well, the thing of it is, and what people have to understand, if there's ever a race that you want to, I don't want to use the term be a degen, but you want to spread yourself a little more money involved, it's the Kentucky Derby, because everything's going to be exaggerated. You can get an exacta that might have two of the three favorites that on a normal race day might return a $20 exacta is going to be $38, because of the inflated pool. So I definitely look to go a little bit deeper, but I'm going to be honest. I'm keen. My key horses are going to come from the horses from the Florida Derby, Commandment, Chief Wallaby, in the Puma, and my two Florida Derby horses are Emerging Market and Further Ado. Those are going to be the horses that are going to get the most of my tickets, but I am going to put some of those other long shots in my tickets on the back side of them, because they can chunk up, get a piece of the try for you or super, and get you a big payday, just because people are not going to have those horses.
Okay. Well,
you don't want to get beat by one of those horses that you thought might have a shot at 30-1, runs in there, runs third and brings you back $1,000 trifecta because you wanted to save $20 on your ticket.
Right. And you did mention Potente too, who's now 24-1. So
yes, Potente, he'll be on the third and fourth spots to actually win the race. I don't think he can pull it off. I don't think his style will get him there. But I think that with the right trip, he could hang on for third or fourth in the exotics if things go right for him.
Well, we have a great question from Anthony Raza from and this one I've been wondering, because I also had this as a maybe. Dan and Bourbon. We all love Bourbon, but he broke Forever Young's track record, I guess, by 4 seconds. And, he's coming in from Japan, I believe, right? And I guess, and I watched him, with those, toilet flushing backwards races, and and he did a great job. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was like, this horse is fast. I mean, can he translate with the travel and everything? And historically, they've not been the best bets, but God, I've been really thinking about using this one. But it's just another one of my problems. What do you think about this horse, Chris? You first.
I am not a believer in these Japanese imports coming here to win the Kentucky Derby. I know Forever Young was a freak, a beast, and he nearly won the race and then wound up winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. if he wins, I lose. It's just a mental kind of hurdle I have where until someone comes here and does it, I can't bet on it. I don't know what the hell he was facing over in Japan. It doesn't look like any of the races really were much. The 3 races that he faced. Now, I will say he does have pretty impeccable breeding. Max Field by a Tappet Dam. I mean, that should indicate a good combination of versatility and distance, but it's just it's just something, and I can't get behind either. What's interesting too, if you look at his past performances, 2 of those 3 wins came in the mud, and a lot of times we were talking about how eliminating questions from a race. That could be an indication that maybe those 2 races were just slop freak races. Maybe he just liked the off going so much more than everybody else that he just ran a little bit of an inflated figure and a much better racer. Now, he was clearly favored in that last race, but yeah, I can't get there. If he wins and you have him, congratulations. I know they're pretty sharp people I know that do like the horse and they're going to use him. I will not be though, Marco.
I absolutely do not know what to use with him, and it goes to I don't know what the competition was. That's my biggest concern, and I would have liked to have seen him run one race the right direction, prior to coming over here, whereas Forever Young was a little bit more seasoned, in my opinion, when he came. But if you want to just say on breeding, okay. We talked about So Happy and how much, he's getting some love. So Happy is absolutely not bred for the Kentucky Derby, where this horse is completely bred for the Kentucky Derby. If you just want to go on breeding, right, he would have better chance on paper than So Happy. But I'm probably not using him at all. And if he hits the ticket, I'll be tearing up a lot of them.
1 holes and Asian horses, something to stay away from, you folks. I get it, man. You're right. They have not been proven to win and proven to been kind of like a money waster. So I it's tough for me too, because I have to try to whittle down my 7 at the top and figure out who's going underneath. And I agree, it's a tough job to do, but that's why we bring you guys on to do it. Well, what about Triple Crown, Marco? I think I know what you're going to say. Any chance of a Triple Crown winner this year?
I'm going to say no, even though there's a couple really talented horses that I think can make noise. And the reason for that is I'm going to put 2 horses out there. I'm going to put Chief Wallaby and I'm going to put Emerging Market. I think by season's end, these are going to be 2 of the best horses in the country. And I can very well see if, let's say, Chief Wallaby does win the Derby and Emerging Market, runs a good, 3rd or 4th or something. I could see them skipping the Preakness and going to the Belmont and targeting that race and have that, because remember, Emerging Market's only got 2 starts. All right. We haven't seen the ceiling on this horse yet. And by all indications, Chad Brown absolutely loves this horse and has loved him since day one. He had some sickness issues, and that's the only reason why, he's only got the 2 starts. But I could definitely see these 2 horses beating one another later in the summer. Maybe we see something in Travers, or definitely come the end of the year, the big race at Keeneland when we're talking Breeders' Cup. But I think these are going to be 2 of the best horses in the country.
And I could even see if Emerging Market, like you said, runs. I thought you were going to go here. I thought, okay, Emerging Market runs a good 3rd or 4th. Chad Brown skips the Preakness because he's got a couple other horses that I think might be more apt for the Preakness. A horse named Iron Honor, who I think might be headed to Laurel. I could see Emerging Market being a horse that I want to target in the Belmont Stakes. A horse that runs well in the Derby, skips the Preakness, fresh in the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga in June. So I'd keep that in mind. Have you looked at the Preakness future bet at all? Because I did bet Iron Honor in that at I think it was 35 to 1 last time I checked. And I'm holding off right now just to see what happens in the Pat Day Mile, because I think Bob Baffert, his best 3-year-old, is probably a horse named Crude Velocity, who I at last check I think was 9-1 in the Preakness future pool. So I think that pool closes at 6:00 on Saturday. So you'll have the knowledge of how he does in that race. So I wouldn't bet him until you know how he looks in that Pat Day Mile. But that's a pool I've never jumped in before. But just trying to do that little forecasting, like you said about maybe skipping the Preakness, moving on to the Belmont or later in the year, you might find a couple of new shooters in the Preakness that might make an impact there.
Yeah, I've never bet the Preakness future pool either, Chris, because not only are you like you said, you don't know what some of these trainers' game plan is going to end up being, and you're betting a horse that you thought would be a nice fit there, and then they pull the rug out from under you. And as we saw last year with Bill Mott, he wins the Kentucky Derby and then skips the Preakness. So that you definitely can change everything. But you're not the first person that I've heard that likes the Baffert horse, thinking that this one might be something special.
I think going back to Triple Crown plus 400 to win the Triple Crown. Are you kidding me? The no is minus 650. There's more value on the no at minus 650 in my opinion, by a lot. You could even put that with something.
Like the no at minus 650 would certainly be a very attractive bet for me. And then you play, if you were able to get an individual horse to win the Triple Crown and play the no, but yeah, the no at plus. I mean, the yes at plus. Well, you said plus 450.
Plus 400. Well, this is an offshore, but dude, that's all I can find right now.
That's terrible.
That's horrible.
No chance.
Terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. I would put this with like the Celtics or something to win, or no, the Thunder. I mean, there you go. You can probably make that plus money and make it nicer, and just got to wait till June for that. Well, actually, the NBA.
Don't sell the Spurs short there, Kiev. It does feel like we're getting a little Rams Seahawks NFC Championship game. Winner wins the Super Bowl. Sure feels like we're headed that way. In the NBA with Spurs Thunder.
Man, you're bitter about that Wembanyama ticket. Holy cow!
No, I'm not bitter. I think he should be MVP, but he's not going to win it.
He called it himself.
What's that?
He called it himself. He should be MVP. I don't disagree with you. I think he's a beast when he's out there.
I got the Spurs at 45-1 to win the NBA title too. I bet that last year, like when it was still. I don't even know if the NBA Finals had been played last year or concluded, or it was right afterwards. They were 45-1, and I remember at the time there were these reports that they had all the draft capital and they might be able to trade it and get Giannis from the Bucks. So I was kind of playing that they might get him, and then the number obviously crashed. So if they can get to the NBA Finals, I'll be in a really good position there because they'll be favored over whoever they play in the East.
Okay, we'll throw in the Dodgers then. How about that? We'll combine it with the Dodgers. There you go.
Will the Braves to win the NL East?
That's gonna happen. I think that's gonna happen. It's probably up to $2 at least, man. That is, the Braves look very, very changed. Finally, back to what they should be that we thought over the past couple of years. Real quick on the Oaks, Marco. I almost forgot the Oaks. Any maidens you trying to find break their maiden in this one, or who's going to win this one?
I think it's a very good race. I like the 9, 10, and 11. I like Prom Queen. I think that if I'm looking to go for a price horse, it's Prom Queen. Percy's Bar ran a nice race at Keeneland, but everything went perfect for her. The rail opened up like the parting of the Red Sea in that was the race where they go to the first finish line. It's a short finish line. But I think Prom Queen, this race could set up for her to get a nice trip. And then you got Chad Brown, just like Emerging Market. He's got a horse that's got just 2 starts that I think is moving in the right direction. And did you see the jump on the buyer speed figure from the first start to the second start? I don't know if I've ever seen one like that. So looking at 9, 10, 11 in there. And then, of course, you got to look at the Pletcher horse, I think is the 2 horse Zany down at the inside.
2,
I
9,
love
10,
meaning.
11. Go ahead.
Oh, meaning too. I forgot about meaning.
I love meeting in this race. Brooke mating first asking 30 cents on the dollar, threw her right into the juvenile fillies, and she wasn't disgraced at all against the Super Corridor and Explorer and Percy's Bar. Off the layoff, wins the Las Virgenis, beating Explorer, the Baffert, and romped in the Santa Anita Oaks. Like I think she is a special filly. Zany, I'm hearing not great things about. We talked about with Renegade and his feet. I hear Zany, her feet aren't exactly great either. So we as long as a horse can run, we want a horse like that in the race to kind of take. Anytime you can get a horse in the race that you don't like, that you know is going to take money, that's the goal as a handicapper to not like a horse that is favored. And we mentioned this before with the Puma, and so happy about horses taking money. Now, look, I'm friends with Dave Portnoy and work with them on Big Noon. I am ecstatic that he has his horse Lovely Gray in. It's going to be a great weekend for him. Make the walkover, watch up. He's invested a ton of time and ton of money in the sport. Loves the sport as an owner, as a handicapper. But this horse is 6-1 in the early wagering. And this horse meaning is a longer shot than Lovely Gray. And that's like last year, Sandman was the second choice in the race, and he had no chance to win. So these, like you said, Marco, earlier, days like this, weekends like this are Christmas for you and I when you get the tourists, the public money, square money, that love a name or a color or a story and are making bets on that based on actually reading the form and reading the rags and the sheets and seeing who has a legitimate chance.
Well, Dave Moody.
So we got Swifties on Saturday and we got Stoolies on Friday.
I was going to say Dave probably moved his own number on that one, so you know.
Oh, he probably. Here we now we need the ultimate collab. We need Dave Portnoy and Taylor Swift to come together and buy a horse at the meet and name it Swifties and Stoolies.
There you go. What's the daily double called on that? Puma and who? Puma
and Lovely Gray.
Puma.
Oh yeah,
and Lovely
you can
Gray.
do. You can actually do that daily double. Yep. Oaks and and Derby.
She'll have to put on.
All right, we just drove the odds down on that daily double.
Dude, you ain't kidding.
Oh well. Speaking of odds, speaking of plays, Marco, could you please let our listeners and viewers know where they can get your wonderful information and not just tickets for these races, tickets for the whole day from Marco D'Angelo.
Yeah. Guys, and you know what? Head over to wagertalk.com and Kiev. I'm going to throw a coupon out for your viewers. If you've never bought at Wager Talk, if you use coupon code Derby2, I'm going to give you my entire Saturday package. That's a $2 win bet. Okay, we're going to give it to you for $2. You'll get all of my Kentucky Derby selections, and I put out the wagering tickets, just how I'm doing it, and some other spot races. I don't play every race. My dad taught me at an early age. You can beat the races, or you can beat a race, but you can't beat the races. I spot bet which races that I'm going to attack, and then you'll get my sports bets for the weekend or for Saturday as well. And we have been running very well with the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs, and baseball's been heating up. So take advantage of that. Go over to Wager Talk. Derby 2, little self-promotion there.
That's great. Make sure you use Derby 2 for Marco coming in. What an awesome deal to get his best stuff and all the work that he puts into it. Tons of hours behind that. Chris, where could we get your columns on the horse races coming up this weekend?
Foxsports.com. It should be up right now. Bear Bets podcast is up. We recorded with Sammy P. and Maggie Wolfendale yesterday, so that is out there. I was on a numbers game earlier. That'll be up in podcast form, I believe, off of VSiN with Peter Fornital. I'll be on a numbers game on Friday morning as well. I will be on Wake Up Barstool on Friday morning as well at 9 a.m. I will be on with Dan Dockich and Outkick at 9:20 tomorrow morning. So I got plenty of places to be. I'll be on Twitter. I'll throw a couple of I always struggle with this because I don't want to be that guy, and I've been really good about it in football as well, like putting out football picks and not really concerning myself with the contests, whether it's the Westgate College Football Contest or the Circa Friday Football Invitational. It's a little, it's tough though at times with so many races going on and you've got the NHC qualifiers, and the ROI matters. So I'll try and put some non-contest races out there for sure, and then some other thoughts that I have. But if there's an 8 or 9 to 1 shot that I like in a stakes race, it's part of the contest. Yeah, I might have to keep that one to my.
Well, hey, if you see another country house, we better get a text. That's all I got to say.
Oh no, that you'll get. Yeah, that you'll get. But yeah, it's a pick and pray. Once I make the play on the pick and pray, I can put it out there.
Well, awesome, guys. You're the best. Thanks for coming on. Everybody in the chat, thanks for chiming in. Everybody watching this, really appreciate it. David Delano looks like he chopped in. He's a great handicapper over there. Anthony Raza's got his house on Dan and Bourbon because he's going to tie Secretariat. So good luck to you on that one, my friend. And nothing like a bold prediction coming in to Derby week. But hey, one heck of a show, guys. Thank you so much for helping me get down on this Derby and try to whittle this one. We'll be texting this weekend. Best of luck to you guys. Thanks again for chiming in. All right, my friends. Well, I'm sticking with 2 on top of my trifectas, and that's going to be Chief Wallaby and Emerging Market. Am I going to have some exactas with like some of those, the Further Ados, the Dan and Bourbons, maybe even the So Happies? Very possible. But even the Puma, I'm not sure if I'm going to put him on top yet, but I think that this is a race where you could make an argument for about 6 or 7 horses here. And, the truth is that there's going to be some value in the exacta market if some of these smaller ones hit. I think that you're going to have to put some more money, though, on the favorites. So you might want to do 2 separate exactas if you're not pairing them, with something with some 9 to 1 or better odds. I'll have an article out on this on Saturday, as sure many of our other horse cappers, Sean Kanaki, Patrick Gates, as well, over at theoddsbreakers.com. Huge thanks to Chris Fallica, the Bear, and Marco D'Angelo from Wager Talk for breaking all this wonderful horse handicapping information for the big race in the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks coming up this weekend. I hope you guys win all your bets, enjoy all the games, and go get some winners.